In your headlines, the Environmental Health Department advises residents to remove all debris and garbage from their premises. An incident that took place on Wednesday in one community left a woman in the hospital. And PAHO director urges countries to take stock of the numbers and act. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providenciales, your #1 source for news, I'm Erica Pinales, delivering the latest from across the country this Thursday, May 19th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. Newswatch learns of an incident that took place on Wednesday in one community that left a woman in the hospital and a community searching for the man responsible. Here's more.
We learned that a woman on foot on her way to work in the settlement of Five Keys was suddenly struck by an unsuspecting vehicle. According to sources, the man driving that vehicle was her boyfriend, Haitian national Mathurin Altidore, who was now wanted by police. Information coming into the newsroom is that the man works as a dump truck driver and has been living in the TCI for a number of years. We are told that bystanders got a glimpse of the vehicle before it took off, however, did not see the woman at first glance. It was thought that she may have been lodged underneath the vehicle. However, moments later, they realized that she had fallen into a small ditch nearby when the car struck her, saving her life. She was taken to the hospital shortly thereafter, where she's being treated for her injuries. Weeks earlier, another woman experienced a similar incident, however, was not so lucky. A middle-aged Dominican woman died from injuries she sustained at the hands of who we learned was her ex-boyfriend back in April, where he struck her with his vehicle before taking her to the hospital. She was flown to the Dominican Republic, where she died. In other crime news, 101 Haitian nationals intercepted in TCI waters as the Haitian community celebrated Haitian Flag Day nearby. A blue single-engine sailboat was the vehicle of choice for the group of migrants who were brought in by Marine Police late Wednesday night.
World Hypertension Day is observed every May 17th in order to raise awareness and promote hypertension prevention, detection, and control. Here's what was done in the Turks and Caicos Islands. High blood pressure is the main risk factor to develop cardiovascular disease. Take note of warning symptoms that one should never ignore.
In the Turks and Caicos Islands, there is a silent killer amongst our population, a disease that almost 50% of the people that have it are not even aware. Of those that are aware, the disease is not effectively or sufficiently treated. This disease may have no warning signs or symptoms, but causes debilitating effects to various organs in the body.
Helio and Cardiology Today have compiled a list of recent updates in hypertension research and management. Recent updates include the negative impact of incorrect BP cuff size on BP measurement, conflicting hypertension advice circulating on TikTok, management of hypertension and preeclampsia in pregnant women, and more.
What is this silent killer? It is known as hypertension or high blood pressure. It is crucial that you measure your blood pressure regularly and accurately to determine if you are hypertensive and seek the required treatment to control it.
Hypertension or high blood pressure occurs when the blood pressure abnormally rises to undesirable levels. It is the increased force exerted by blood against the walls of the artery. Normal blood pressure is 120/80. High blood pressure is defined as a level greater than 130/80 or 140/90, according to various guidelines.
Theme for this year's World Hypertension Day is measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, live longer. The truth is, many people die prematurely from the effects of high blood pressure when the disease is controllable and treatable. Having your blood pressure checked frequently and properly, maintaining a good posture, such as having your feet flat on the floor, your back straight, your arms supported on a flat surface, and being as still as possible will allow for a proper diet diagnosis.
As most of the time there are no noticeable signs of hypertension, it is also called the silent killer, thereby raising a significant risk to damage the brain, heart, kidneys, and blood vessels. Ignoring blood pressure symptoms can prove to be fatal and lead to a stroke, heart attack, including heart failure and kidney failure, if not diagnosed early and treated appropriately.
Some of the effects of uncontrolled high blood pressure include heart attacks, heart failure, chest pains, vision loss, strokes, and kidney damage. You can do your part to prevent hypertension by reducing salt intake using natural seasonings over table salt to flavor your food. Eat more fruits and vegetables. Learn to manage tension and stress. Be physically active. Don't smoke. Limit how much alcohol you drink. Limit a diet with high foods and saturated fat. Get enough sleep.
In recognition of World Hypertension Day, the Ministry of Health hosted outreaches island-wide, starting in Providenciales and simultaneously in Grand Turk, where the ministry offered free blood pressure checks and gave out information to the public on hypertension.
I would like to see our population thrive and live healthy lives. Visit a clinic, your general practitioner, or family doctor, and have your blood pressure checked regularly, especially if hypertension runs in your family.
Don't go anywhere. More News Watch when we return.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to News Watch. The Environmental Health Department advises residents, homeowners, apartment owners, and businesses to remove all debris and garbage from their premises. Here's more. Due to the recent rainfall throughout the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Environmental Health Department advises residents, homeowners, apartment owners, and businesses to remove all debris, garbage from their premises and dispose appropriately at the public landfill or solid waste disposal sites on your respective island. The removal of debris and refuse or garbage from your premises will reduce mosquito breeding and prevent mosquito-borne and other vector-borne diseases such as the dengue fever. We gather that as the Vector Control Unit of the Environmental Health Department continues to monitor and treat mosquito breeding sites, homeowners, apartment owners, and business owners are advised to treat standing water on their premises by using cooking oil or any other environmentally friendly oil to prevent mosquito breeding. It is anticipated that mosquito populations and activities will increase over the coming weeks, and it is important to remind residents that mosquito control is a shared responsibility. Residents and businesses can help reduce the growth and reproduction of mosquitoes in and around their homes, businesses, and communities by taking the following precautionary measures. Check around buildings for anything that could hold water. Inspect your home and yard weekly. Turn containers over or cover them. Get rid of or cover old tires. Properly dispose of all garbage or refuse. Cover boats, children's pool, etc. Clean rain gutters and make sure they're flowing properly. Check screens for holes, tightly cover water drums and rain barrels. For more information, contact the Environmental Health Department. As COVID cases continue to rise in the Americas, PAHO Director urges countries to take stock of the numbers and act now. Take a look. With the virus not going away anytime soon, PAHO director says that countries must bolster testing and surveillance and ensure that vaccines get to where they are needed the most. As cases of COVID-19 rise sharply throughout the region by 27.2% over the past week, the Pan American Health Organization Director Carissa F. Etienne has called on countries to take action to increase surveillance, public health measures, and vaccination, and to make sure that health systems are prepared to cope with a potential influx of COVID-19 patients. PAHO Director Carissa F. Etienne said, quote, "Last week, our region reported more than 918,000 cases. COVID-19 hospitalizations increased in 18 countries, and admissions to intensive care units rose in 13 countries and territories," end quote. Following a period of lower transmission, the PAHO director highlighted that many countries have abandoned public health measures such as mask wearing and social distancing. But with only 14 of the 51 countries and territories in the Americas reaching the World Health Organization goal of 70% vaccination coverage, far too many people remain unprotected. In some countries, vaccination coverage is particularly low among those at risk of severe disease, including the elderly, pregnant women, and people with pre-existing conditions. Dr. Etienne said, "Each country is only as protected as the most vulnerable in their population." She continued, "It is time to take stock of these numbers and act. COVID-19 is again on the rise in the Americas," end quote. Despite having built incredible networks for COVID testing and genomic surveillance, over the past 2 weeks, the PAHO director said that testing rates have steadily declined since January. "We must keep our eyes on the virus, calling on countries to maintain and strengthen testing infrastructure and to ensure that in places where self-tests are available, results are reported to health authorities. Countries must also maintain investments in intensive care unit and hospital capacity so that services can be quickly scaled up to meet a potential surge in new infections." The PAHO director called on countries to be ready to reinstate public health measures in areas where cases spike and to ensure that the most vulnerable groups are protected, particularly now that vaccine supplies are no longer a barrier. Turning to the COVID-19 situation in the region, the director noted that more than half of the new infections were reported in North America, where cases have been climbing for several weeks, driven by a surge in the United States. In Central America, COVID-19 cases have increased by 80%, and cases have also spiked in countries across South America. In the Caribbean, new infections have been on the rise for 5 consecutive weeks, with a 9.3% increase in cases and a 49% increase in deaths. As the world's highest health authorities meet next week for the World Health Assembly in Geneva to determine the global priorities for public health, the PAHO director said that health emergencies will remain top of the agenda. Finally, she stated, quote, "We must take what we learned from past emergencies to shape a future where our health systems and leadership are better prepared to face the next challenge. The better prepared our health systems are, the less lives we lose, and the stronger and more resilient our societies become," end quote. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back. Coming up next is your weather forecast.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Here's the latest in your weather forecast. Here's your weather forecast for May 20th, 2022. For the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Friday, mostly cloudy skies, high 83, low 78, winds east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For South Caicos, mostly cloudy skies, high 83, low 78, winds east at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos, mostly cloudy skies, high 85, low 78, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key, mostly cloudy skies, high 84, low 78, winds east at 15 to 25 miles per hour. And on Providenciales, mostly cloudy skies, high 84, low 78, winds east at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Now for your sunrise and sunset. Sunrise 6:09 a.m., sunset 7:24 p.m., and for your high tides and low tides, high tides 11:59 a.m., 11:59 p.m., and low tides 5:55 a.m., 5:59 p.m. And that's it for your weather forecast. We'll be right back with more News Watch.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
Spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future. I am PTV.
I am PTV. I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
So many interesting stories have emerged this week, but here's another one that made this edition of News Watch. TCIG and CDB's annual meeting media launch press conference was Tuesday, May 10th, 2022.
The story that it tells, though, is the fact that small is beautiful, and the fact that these overseas territories are, in fact, small island states do pack some power in these regional institutions. The theme, measure better to deliver better, what is it?
Better.
To target better, is very appropriate for Turks and Caicos, because it is what we're focused on, what we hope to deliver for the people of our Turks and Caicos. It is said that what you can't measure, you can't miss. Right? We don't want to miss anything. So we want to make sure that we hit the targets, and therefore it's important for us to determine what those targets are going to be. The CDB is no stranger to Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos has been a beneficiary of its membership of the CDB, and we have long been engaged with them. We've benefited in many different areas, from education to housing to small entrepreneurial loans in the past, including all of our sectors, including the agricultural sector. And we hope to build on that relationship going forward.
A very important reason why having this meeting at this time is because we are reportedly charting a course to change the trajectory of the relationship with TCI and other countries.
The Turks and Caicos is very keen to continue to invest in the expansion of its economy and the development of its people, and the CDB is a significant partner in that. We're also very keen to ensure that to the extent that we can contribute to the overall development of the Caribbean, that we can do so through lessons that we have learned from our own experience, but also to benefit from lessons that our borrowing nation members have also can also contribute to the development of Turks and Caicos.
This meeting, as we gathered, was a means of directing the work of the bank towards this objective. Dr. Hygienist Jean Leon, president of the Caribbean Development Bank, was also present at the meeting and shared his remarks.
The meeting I want to stress is essentially the flagship event of the bank. Every year, once a year, the Board of Governors meet. And they meet essentially to chart the course for where the bank is heading. And so that places it at the highest level of authority, highest level of governance. And so we don't take it lightly that the annual meeting is the single most important meeting in the bank's agenda.
The meeting will take place on June 1st to the 16th. This annual meeting will bring together the bank's highest decision-making body to discuss key development challenges facing the region and innovative solutions. This meeting will be held under the chairmanship of Honorable Charles Washington Mizik, our Premier, and CTB Governor for the British Overseas Territories.
So it is with distinct pleasure that we are looking to come to TCI in just under a month's time, from the 13th to the 17th of June.
Measure better to target better. Adaptation and resilience is this year's theme for the 52nd annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank. Here, the president explains why this theme was selected.
So with regard to the theme, I want to just backtrack a little and say what exactly are the pillars that we see as critical for the development of the region going forward. And I think we narrowed it down to 3 catchy phrases. The first is the measure better to target better. And that in itself, even if it is just a phrase, has a lot going on in the background, so much so that we are making it the entirety of what we want to talk about in the annual meeting this year. But there's a second equally important one, which is we need to marshal development finance. And that's the second big area that we are focused on at the bank. And it will be part of, but not given as much prominence in the annual meeting's deliberations. And the third is we need to share to grow. And that's almost like turning the cat around. We tend to think if we hold, we will grow, but the truth is we need to give to grow. And it's that sharing that will make a difference. We're not going to highlight that this year in the annual meeting, but I wanted to start there because it paints the picture of what it is that we at the bank are about in terms of the development of the region.
The president added that once we understand those 3, we narrow them down to seeing that those 3 things work together for a holistic idea of development. Stay tuned for more of this story in a subsequent newscast. And that brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Pinales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated. Until next time.